software. This is not a sponsored session. This is just to give you an idea of how you can improve productivity across the board with something you already have. And then in the process, you will also gain some insights about any technology, how to utilize it better, and most importantly, how to make sure users use it fully. Because investing is easy, procurement of technology is easy, deployment is easy, maintenance we are already doing, but effective utilization has never happened at end user level. I speak very frankly, don't take it personally, this is a global problem. So, just to give you a thought about how things are and quantify them, let me actually show you some numbers. In fact, I'm sure you use some kind of office tools, whether it is Google, Microsoft, doesn't really matter. So, if you count the number of features these things have, how many features are we talking about? That's the question I'm asking you. So, you go to a menu, there are lots of buttons, right click has options, file options, preferences. If you count all of them, in typical office products, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, how many typically are we talking about? Maybe you've never counted, that's okay, but just take a guess. How many are we talking about? I know the screen is blank, I have a dual screen laptop. So the problem is, most people won't know the number. Am I correct? IT people are supposed to know? No, even nobody is supposed to know. Who is supposed to know? The vendor who created it. It's their job to create it. It's our job to use it, not our job. There are thousands of users who are not talking to you at all. You have given them the software and you hope that they are using it fully and correctly. And that assumption is absolutely wrong. Which software doesn't matter. Why? Because you can't go sit behind every user, look at which features are available, what is the business context, map two and two together. You don't have enough people to do it. Correct? So we basically leave it alone to users. And what do users do? They have a problem, they will do some search, find it, whether the search happened in Google or Bard or Bing or Chat GPT, doesn't matter. The first answer which satisfies them is used. Nobody cares, is there a better way? Do you understand what I just said? That has not changed for the last 30 years. So, if we look at the number of features, and I'm just going to show you a number to make it easier for us to understand the problem, the extent of the problem. But before we do that, let me tell you some psychology. This is a simple menu in PowerPoint. I have zoomed in so that you can see all the buttons. This is not how people look at the screen. Technically it is correct, but practically look at the screen carefully, very carefully. It is going to change now and tell me if this is correct or this is correct. That is called return on ignorance. You spent money for all the features. You are paying whatever subscription to whoever it is, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, doesn't matter. But people are not noticing all features. Do you understand the problem? Technically the light is falling, the reflection is going to retina. But brain refuses to notice it because somehow with whatever little I know, my job is getting done. And because the job is getting done and nobody is asking me questions, why are you using this process? There is a better way. Because nobody knows there is a better way. Do you understand the problem? So it just happens like that for decades, and whatever money you're spending on all productivity tools, it doesn't matter which vendor, is a complete waste. So now with this in mind, if I count these 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, here itself there will be some 20 plus features. So if I count all of them, and in this case I'm talking about Microsoft Office, the number of features I'm talking about is 14,000. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, OneNote, Teams. That's it. Now, did you know that number? Probably not. I have counted. Although I am a gynecologist, I was a hardcore developer and an infra person. 15 years I did that. Then I realized that all this technology is useless because nobody is using it. So I then became for the last 17 years a user advocate. Because there is nobody not just in the room, in the entire world, whose job means in the job description, it's written, improve user productivity. I'm not talking IT at all. It's definitely not IT's job. It is not HR's job also. I'll tell you why. You bought some software which is going to affect all users. Very good. Now, HR will arrange training if users demand it. Correct? Has anybody demanded training on all these tools? No. At the most, people will say, advanced Excel. Now, who decided what is basic, what is advanced? What I know is called basic. What I don't know, I don't want to know, and I still get my salary is called advanced. End of story. Nobody is asking for training, so nobody is getting trained. Microsoft and Google are adding more and more features. Nobody is looking at them. That's the worldwide status. And it doesn't matter which country, which industry, what level of seniority. When it comes to these tools, everyone is absolutely inefficient. And if I have enough time, I'll prove it to you. But just trust me on that right now. I'm doing this for a very long time. So now that I told you everyone is inefficient and temporarily you're trusting me, is it a good news or a bad news? It is an absolutely good news. Why? For whom? Two questions. Why is it a good news? Because everyone knows problem solving means what? First, at least you have to notice the problem. Right? So now I'll tell you a problem, I'll tell you the solution, and then whatever feature I'm showing you, you have to classify it as basic or advanced. Fair enough? Okay, I'm going to show you some simple data. Let's see, okay. 9 columns, 1,500 rows, some number of items. This is raw data. I'm going to create reports. I'm going to create how many reports? Well, who decides that? Someone decides that. Sometimes I only decide, sometimes boss decides, regulator decides, someone decides. All right. So I created reports. I finished making all the reports which were demanded. That means my job of analyzing this data is finished. Am I right? Yes or no? Which tool, which technology, what is the process? I'm not even talking about that. Right? Now that is wrong. That is the first thing to understand. There is one operational inefficiency. The process in which I made the reports may have been inefficient. In fact, I'm telling you they are inefficient. But forget that inefficiency. Have I at least understood and analyzed the data fully? That is intellectual or analytical inefficiency. So let's take a step back and define what is analytics. So all of your IT people, one simple skill which I'll show you now will help you lifelong. If you already have that, great. The idea is the ability to simplify technical words. It's not taught anywhere. I'm sure you have figured it out, but that is the biggest skill for any IT person. So what is analytics? If I ask you, everyone will have a definition. But that definition will have at least one technical word in it. Then you can't communicate with users. That's the problem. So what is analytics? Yes, we have data which is historical. We look at it and try to learn something useful. Very good. Now, when you learn something useful, what are you going to do with it? You are going to do something about it. Whatever you do, past cannot be changed. So you are going to make an attempt to try and improve the future in your favor. Very good. Abhi khatam nahi hua. There is a gap between learn and useful things. How many useful things would you like to learn? Now, the same question I asked earlier. How many reports are you making? Understood? So whichever data, whichever context, whichever boss and subordinate, we stop at a number, whatever that number is. I'm not saying that's not necessary. Whatever reports are being created are necessary. But why did you stop at whatever number? Who asked you to stop? Did the data tell you I have only 12 useful things? Data doesn't say anything. Data doesn't have a voice. We have to ask. We stopped asking at 12. So now think, maybe there is an equally useful or even more useful 30. 14, 27, 93rd thing sitting there in the data. What is going to happen to that potentially useful information? Nobody is looking at it because nobody asked for it. Am I correct? Then what? That's a loss of business opportunity, no? It's not a technical problem. And if you proactively find all that, that's a competitive advantage. Are you getting the concept? So instead of 4 or 12 or few, what should I write there? hey, ये लाइट थोड़ा कम करना, मेरा आग बहुत खराब हो रहा है. What should I write there? I don't want a number. What should I write there? Oh, absolutely. You should be great. नहीं, इतना भी नहीं, सब सो जाएगा. थोड़ा उधर audience लाइट चाहिए. So yes, absolutely, you are right. I want to be greedy about it. No, it's in my interest to be greedy. So I want to learn all possible useful things. Very good. Now what? No, not this one. So now what? The thought is good. PowerPoint is looking good. But how do I actually do it? Do I have unlimited time to randomly drag drop in pivot tables, hoping that something useful will come? No. That is when this implementation has already happened with AI. And most of you probably already have it, but most users don't know it. So let me show you. It's the same raw data. Let's assume I have finished making the reports. Now, I want to find something I may have missed because nobody asked me that report. What do I do? Can anyone tell me the answer? We'll clap for you. I don't have any prizes to give you, but we'll clap for you, I'm sure. There's Excel. Anyone? Take a guess. It's okay. The answer is visible there. Very nice. Can we have a round of applause? Who said that? Very nice. What's your name, sir? Hitesh. Very nice. So this is the button which is there for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now, waiting to be noticed by someone. Hardly anybody noticed it. But if you click on it, it uses AI algorithm, analyzes the data, correlates every column with every other column, does not ask you which reports you want. It shows you the reports you should be looking at. So it decides what is worth showing, what is the correct visualization for that, and it decides the number of reports. Now, some of them you may already know, no problem, skip them, look, move on. Maybe something useful comes. For example, let's say this was my sales data, and this is the frequency distribution by age. Now, for whatever reason, older people are not buying my product. If I know it, fine. If I don't know it, that's an opportunity. Like that, whenever the data changes, you have to click on that button, I want the reports, and that's it. And who should do it? Not analytics team, not the BI team. Every user has to do it. Now, who is going to make that awareness? It's not Microsoft's job. Microsoft can't reach individual user. Your training partner will not reach there because nobody is asking for training. IT is not doing it because it's not IT's job. L&D is trying to arrange training, but nobody is attending training because people think they know already Office. So it's a chaotic, lose-lose situation. So all I'm trying to tell you is the purpose is not to depress you. Purpose is to give you a very positive thought which you can easily implement. Because in IT, what typically we do, we wait for a use case, we create a solution. That's our job. But here, there is a use case waiting to be addressed and nobody is coming to you. So you think of it, you're smart people, all of us understand technology, we learn it faster, you learn it. Maybe it's not directly useful to you, but you know your business, you know this group, this team will benefit from it. What is the chance those users are going to figure it out? Zero. You already spent for it. There is no use case. You do it proactively, go to those people and change their lives. That is the proactivity which has been missing because most of the technical stuff we do is hard-coded to business context. Right? Here it is generic. This feature is not for junior or senior or any industry or any role, any department. It's for everyone. So like that, every button you see, this is a reverse IT, I call it. Every button you see is what? Technically speaking, it's a solution. The problem is in the help file, even if you go, nobody goes there. But even if someone you go, there is no use case winch. It is IT's job to find the use case, go to the potential beneficiaries and change their lives. This is not AI. This is natural intelligence. AI will come in. That's okay. But this proactive process, if you follow, not just for Office, for any end-user-centric application, you will be able to add enormous amount of value, which nobody is asking you to do. But that's where proactively you can grow the business and grow your career dynamically. All right, now while all this is happening, let me show you one more thing. And with another situation, Let me skip slides to show you one specific example. I'm sure you'll relate to it. Let's say I'm going to show you a scenario first, and then you tell me whether it is common or not common. So most people in the world will have data. They will import the data. Yes, they are data import, cleanup, and analytics. There are three broad steps at user level. Which one takes maximum amount of time? Import, cleanup. Cleanup takes maximum amount of time, right? Anyway, we'll not go into cleanup optimization right now, but I'm showing you a scenario. I import data, I clean it up, I know how to do all this. Finally, it gets copy-pasted in some presentation. Now that review meeting is going on. All okay. Now, during the meeting, after people seeing whatever you are already putting there, which are standard expected reports, some new question is bound to come because people saw it for the first time. When the new question comes, someone has to give that answer. What is the answer? It doesn't matter what the question is. The answer is same, and that answer has not changed for 30 years. It doesn't matter which BI tool you use, how good are it, how much money you have spent on IT. This answer has not changed. So क्या किया जिंदगी में? Right? So now that person who is saying I'll get back to is also not at fault. There and then they can't do the data cleanup and whatever else and create the report. But then in the process, that meeting just is hanging. People go home. After one day, I give the report, but the meeting is not there. Decision got delayed. It's very easy to put the word agility in PowerPoint. Where is the agility now? Is that a common problem or not? So there is a solution for that. And that solution is again right there. In fact, I'm going to show it to you in two places. One is in Excel and one is in Power BI. So I just showed you this part of Excel, analyzed data, it created reports. But just above that, it has a text box saying ask question. So if boss asks you a question or anybody asks the question, instead of saying I will get back to you, why don't you type the question there? So in fact, in case you don't know how to ask question, उसने बना के दिया है. This is your data. These are questions based on your data. So it's prompting you. So I am asking a more complicated question. Top 3 city by. So it's doing that. It has given me a pivot table for that. Now, first time in life, I did not say I will get back to you. Everyone could take the decision there, and that is going to help everyone. Everyone means what? Provided everyone uses this. Understand the concept? Now, what is the SOP out of this? The SOP is every user who is going to say, I'll get back to you, has to be taught this. Who is going to do that? Answer is nobody. Correct? You have spent money for that, but that money is totally wasted. So, coming back to my earlier question, what was the question? How many features are there? I told you 14,000. Chalo. Next question is, how many are we using? Typically, a typical user, I mean. Means file open is 1, file save is 2, copy is 3, copy paste is 4, like that. Kitna hoga? Total features a typical user is using. Give me some number. नहीं, इतना भी कम नहीं है, sir. 150, 150, like that. Understand? Now there's something special about this visualization. There are actually 14,000 points plotted there, each representing a feature. And in the next slide, I shut off the features which are not being used. This is 150, alive. Now if you have limited vocabulary, what is the chance that you are using those 150 properly? They are absolutely being used inefficiently. Do you understand? काम हो रहा है, but some जुगाड़ करके. That is the work we have to do by proactively lightening those things and going and teaching this to people. So this is one Excel example. Now, Excel, this works beautifully. The limit, technically speaking, is 500,000 cells. Doesn't matter how many rows and columns, 500,000 cells ka data it will manage. for this Q&A. The problem is it takes only one table. In real life, there will be multiple tables with relationships. It's not going to understand this. That's why the data, which is in Excel or the relationships, should be imported in Power BI. I'm showing you free version of Power BI. In that, I have multiple tables, relationships of OBI. And now, if I want to answer questions, Power BI has a visual which is completely free, which is called Q&A, and that understands much larger amount of data size and relationships. So what is the SOP now? Don't bother about that $9 of Power BI. वो बाद में करेंगे. पहले free तो ले लो. This is completely free for life. There is no restriction on features. Make sure every user has Power BI. Now this is the problem. I know so many customers who have purchased Power BI, but Power BI is only given to people for whom licenses have been allocated. What about the users which don't have awareness only of what is Power BI? That license can be free. So give it to them and ask them to import the same data in Power BI and just carry this blank dashboard. No dashboard to be created, no Power BI training to be given. Ask the question here, you will get the answers and speed up the process. Now, that's not all. There are many other things this can do. This we have already seen Q&A. Now here is another issue. There is some line chart, there is time and some revenue. Now 18,000 suddenly dropped down to this, May. Obvious question is what happened in May? Why did it drop down from 18,000 to 5,000? What is the answer? I'll get back to you. I don't want to give that answer. So here is a generic method of learning. If you don't know something, don't search. Whether it's Google or Bing, don't search. Don't ask each other. Don't go to hell. Why all three are bad? These are the most common methods used, by the way, if you don't know something. Why don't search? Because what comes on top of search is not the best answer. Is the item with best SEO. Whether it is Bing or Google or any search engine, the algorithm is best SEO comes on top. That does not mean the best approach or best process. Don't ask each other because everyone is inefficient. Don't waste time. And help file is useless because you don't know the name of the feature. If you don't know the name of the feature, what will you type in help? Help me. That doesn't work. So the simplest way of learning the correct way in any software, end user context, is right click. Right click is called context menu for a reason. It knows where you clicked. So the problem is here. So right click there. And then you ask it to analyze and say explain the decrease. It understood there is a decrease. This is a free feature. And now it's going to look at all the parameters, all the dimensions, fields, and rank them in the order of influence and give you a waterfall chart for each one of them. So it's saying card type. Gold card went down. All of them went down, but gold is the biggest contributor. The next one is weekday. On Friday, the sales went down. Or this is class of city and gender and so on and so forth. This for that particular point. Now, if you think how to do it is a material thing, how many people in your organization need this? And what are the chances they are going to know it on their own? Zero. So that's the empowerment you can do. No programming is involved. We already have the data. So that proactivity is waiting for 14,000 such features to be exploited. So just go every day, right click somewhere, learn something, teach it to people, form it as a proactive process. And initially people will not respond. But once they get used to it, you can do it daily. One SOP every day. So like that, there are so many amazing features. Let me give you another example. And again, tell me this makes sense or not. In fact, in AI context, there is an explosion of things happening. Major players being Microsoft, Google, Adobe, and even in creative space, Canva. Have you ever, how many of you use Canva? Yes, it's an amazing tool. It's giving a run for money for Microsoft and Adobe. So let's see something happening here. I'm going to go to Word. Let's go to. So I am opening a Word file. This I am opening on browser. Now very often what we need is, I have a document, I have already created the proposal, contract, plan, whatever it might be. But now I need to present it to some audience. So I need a PPT out of it. Of course, everyone has this requirement. Not specific to IT. Every user may have this. Now, how are we going to do it? Tell me. I have a Word document. Everything is ready. Table of contents, topics, subtopics, everything is there. Now I need a PPT. What is the most common action people are going to do in life? Tell me. I want a PPT. Come on. Designer will not work. Designer works in PowerPoint. This word. Come on, say it. I know you're feeling bad, but say it. No. Everyone is doing it. You're not alone. 1 billion people do it every day. What do? Scroll, either copy, then go to PowerPoint, add a new slide, paste, then again come back, again scroll, again copy, again paste. 40 years of IT has not changed anything, no? Correct? And if boss is standing behind saying, am I paying you salary for this? No boss is going to ask you this. Why? Because wo bhi wahi kar rahe. So that is the problem. Inefficiency is normal. So you have to make it abnormal, and then you start growing, users start growing, and if everyone is efficient, the company grows. So it's not just one person's tips and tricks. We are talking about a larger approach of empowerment, which is an opportunity for all of you. So now, I'm not going to give you the answer. Obviously, copy-paste is bad, but I'll give you a method of auditing what you are doing is efficient or not. So if I continue doing it, yes, I'll get my salary, but which part of the body am I using, hands or brain? So hands and brain ka imbalance means inefficient process. Am I helping Word or Word is helping me? The software was created to make me or my life easier, not to make it more difficult. So the moment you notice the way I'm using the software is making my life more difficult, that means the creator of the software must have noticed it as a use case and created a solution for it. And that solution will be where? Not in the help file. Help file writes what is there in the user interface. So it must be there somewhere in the user interface. So now it's a bigger problem. I'm not talking about that paragraph. Local problem, right click. This is a bigger document level problem. That will be in one of the menus above. So which menu should that option be? It's a file level problem. So you don't have to be expert at anything. Common sense. File में कहाँ जाएंगे? Save as or export. Only two options. Export. This button is there for last 2.5 years. Nobody has noticed. So now it shows you some templates. I choose one of the templates. Don't worry about your corporate template, then you can copy paste later. I'm just choosing any template. I'm using export. It will do its job. It won't ask you what do you want. This was a 16-page document originally, and now what is going to happen? PPT is ready. It will open it on browser, and let's see what it does. How many slides did it create? Oh, it created 40 slides out of it. And it even found the correct pictures and graphics for each one of them. So what is the benefit? What is the benefit? Come on, what is the benefit? Yeah, of course, time saving, but that's a minor benefit because we are used to wasting time for decades. That's not a big deal. Even after you had wasted those 20 minutes, your PPT would not have looked as good. And you have to spend 1 more hour trying to find pictures and then arranging them and cropping them. So it's less effort, obviously, but more impact. That is called productivity. Time saving is not called productivity. What do you use that time for? The impact has to be better. In manufacturing or in any service industry, if you want more outcome, more output, more products to be produced, you have to increase the raw material. Correct? You can't produce things from thin air. But in this case, the input is me, my life. I want to minimize my effort and maximize my impact. So all these features are designed with that simple thought process in mind. And once you understand it, you'll automatically start utilizing it fully. So try this out. This works on browser version of Word. All right. I have a few minutes left. I'll show you one more thing. And of course, we'll take questions. Okay, has this happened that sometimes you have a large company, you are presenting something, and then people in the audience may not understand English because there may be field workers, sales staff, outsourced agencies, and you are talking to them in English. They may not understand what you're talking. Now, nobody will say that explicitly, but there are hundreds of people in the audience, and you want to make sure they understand what you're talking. So what do? This PowerPoint, right-click, go to subtitle settings, and I'm saying show it above the slide. Okay, nothing happened. Again, I go there, subtitle settings, more settings. I'm saying I am talking in English India. Make sure whenever you're using anything voice to text, choose English India as the language. Default maybe US or UK. If you use India, then it understands our accent better. And I want subtitle to be Hindi. Okay, I am still talking, nothing is happening. One more step, I have to enable subtitles. And now, whatever I'm going to speak will get translated live. This of course requires an internet connection, and this has been available in PowerPoint for last 5 years. I think this is a time when you can clap, not for me, but for those users who are going to benefit from it when you go and teach it to them. Now, this is not just for India and Hindi. You may have lots of collaborations and suppliers, distributors, customers worldwide. The same problem happens when you are talking to a German company or a French company. But there is one more thing beyond that. Suppose you have audience which is German and French. Then what do you have? You can only have one subtitle, no. Now you are stuck, isn't it? So this is another level of AI in action. This is the PPT I just created. Now I'm opening this on browser version of PowerPoint because there is another feature there which is absolutely outstanding. So what am I saying? Go to slideshow menu and let me see. Go to slideshow menu and there is another feature there which I can't see right now. So let me go to slide sort of view. There is another feature called Present Live, which allows you to create a QR code online. Everyone scans the QR code, and each person in the audience can choose a language of their choice. You continue to speak in the base language, which is very good when you have a multilingual audience. So, there are lots of features waiting to be exploited. It's just a question of proactivity, which is completely missing, and it's so easy to do. With that, I am running out of time. I want to keep 5 minutes for Q&A. Yeah. So before I leave you and ask you questions, the video which I'm recording right now will be available on my YouTube channel. This is the QR code for my YouTube channel. It has 600 plus videos on various topics. Microsoft, Google, thought leadership, but all of them centered around productivity and efficiency improvement using technology as far as possible without writing a single line of code. So with that, I will close my session, but I'll open it for questions. Thank you.